joined by two fantastic panelists today as well to answer your questions and to also tell you a little bit more about the Osiris Farmplex. So we're going to get started today with just a little bit of an agenda. So first of all, we're going to do some introductions, introduce our panelists, and then we'll quickly go over, who is Growcer? We actually have a video to share with you today from one of our growers that we'd like you to watch and just check out. And it gives a little bit of an introduction to their story as well as what it is we do here at Growcer. And then we're going to move on to chatting about what we built. So what is Farmplex exactly? Why is it important? What went into the design process and the product creation process with this product. And then I'll pass it on to our next panelist who will talk about sort of the why and like what is the use case and how Farmplex can be used and is being used currently to feed communities, to build businesses. So we're really looking forward to that today. And then at the end, we will do, as usual, some Q&A. So you can feel free to submit questions through the Q&A panel on your screen. So it should appear just at the bottom of your screen. If you mouse over, that's where you can see the Q&A and you can type in there. Feel free to, it can also be used as a chat. So feel free to introduce yourself, say hello, and submit any questions that you would like answered. So we'll be answering a couple of them during the webinar, and then we'll also have an open Q&A at the end to get your questions answered. Awesome. So we're going to just move on to introducing our panelists. So our panelist, James Branovan, you guys can come back on video here, give a little bit of an introduction. We'll start with James today of who you are and what you do here at Growcer.
Morning, everyone. My name is James Boivin. I'm the Director of Product here at Growcer. Run all of the engineering and product management teams, as well as our manufacturing and logistics groups here within Growcer.
Great. So great to have you here. And Branovan.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie, so much for the intro. My name is Branovan. I've been with Growcer for almost 7 years now. So helping folks planning their project from the idea up until the farm arrives on your site. That's what I do. We have a large team to sort of support with those projects as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. We're looking forward to each of your presentations. And I'm sure our audience is looking forward to shooting some questions your way as well. So before we head into our What We Built section, I'm going to play a video for you guys. So we're going to be watching one of our growers, Audrey, speak about when they received their farm, how they're using their farm, and what they're kind of excited about in terms of growth and scaling their business in the future. So one moment, and we'll have that up on the screen for you.
On est vraiment très content que la ferme soit enfin arrivée ici. Comme ça, on est prêt à relever ce nouveau défi-là. On a choisi pour diversifier les activités de notre entreprise déjà existante.
Mais pour commencer, notre premier objectif, c'est de bien démarrer la serre au départ et ensuite probablement d'en additionner une deuxième et peut-être même une troisième.
On a vraiment hâte de semer, on veut vraiment semer un peu de tout, essayer tout parce qu'on pense que la variété c'est important, mais je pense que j'ai une petite préférence pour la laitue et les épinards.
So that's Audrey, and her and her partner are some of our growers, and they're talking about how they just kind of got started and they're looking to already kind of scale a little bit. And the Farmplex is something that we developed with scalability in mind. So we wanted to show you that, just that little glimpse into the start of a farm. So seeing kind of that seedling process, seeing inside of the farm a little bit, and we built the Farmplex with, again, that scalability in mind. And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about how that can be useful to a business, to a community, in order to grow the amount that you need to support either your business, your community need as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump into James's section is going to be first. So he's going to talk a little bit more about what we built. So James, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Perfect. Are we able to pull the slides back up there? Yeah, so really goal for me today, just gonna be walking through more of the hardware and the software side of things, kind of what the design intent was. I thought, given the number of people we have on the call today, I'll walk through kind of each of the constituent parts and then discuss kind of the Farmplex as a whole. So awesome. First slide there. Yeah, so the most important item that you saw basically in the video there is our Osiris farm unit. So these are our standard modular farm units. They're built in Canada. They're built and designed to handle extreme conditions, and they're meant to serve businesses and communities, 365 days a year. And each unit's delivering about 10,000 pounds of food on a yearly basis, using reliable, outage-proof deep water technology. You can see in the picture on the left here, a unit kind of in full production. You're looking at about 2,600 planting slots per unit and about 10,000 pounds of growth every year. We use an insulated panel instead of a shipping container, so you'll see that on the next slide. But really, we're designing our units to be able to sustain any weather within Canada, so down to -40, and additional options to go even colder than that. We utilize a deep water technology or deep water culture technology, which just ensures protection for the crops if you were to lose power, versus traditional kind of drip technologies that you see or growing towers. Just gives a little bit more protection, a little bit more robustness to the system, especially in extremely remote locations. And then we monitor all of our farms. So 24 hours a day, full monitoring system. We're checking temperatures, we're checking light levels, CO2 levels, things like that, just to ensure the farm is operating all within parameters. And then there's the ability to set alarms to call you, email you if anything kind of deviates out of those. So yeah, picture on the right here, this is the standard Osiris farm unit. Again, the one you saw in Audrey. They're a 10-foot by 40-foot long building. They're built out of structural insulated panels versus a shipping container. So just longer durability, more, better climate control and longer life for the overall building structure. We also have 3 additional types of buildings. So we have the Osiris Access, for basically an ACA compliant system that allows operators to be in wheelchairs to be able to enter the farm, work effectively, be able to turn around at the back and then exit out of the building. We have an Osiris Arctic version, which is designed to handle extreme conditions. So in the far Arctic Circle, alternative heating options and cooling options, as well as robust kind of connectivity system to ensure the unit can operate with low or no internet signal. Then our final option is the Osiris Education Unit, which also just provides a better space for doing more learning with schools. So we actually have one of the shelves removed just to supply more space for bigger groups to be entering the machine, doing curriculums and education activities inside of the unit itself. So just some really high-level stats. The standard hydroponic systems, you're using about 90% less water. You're going to produce 10,000 pounds of lettuce per unit per year. We're going to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have full access to dedicated customer support teams and that continual monitoring system as well. Standard farm is around 25 hours per week. Usually we see people with 2 farms providing 1 full-time job for a grower. And then we have a 30-year lifespan for the system. And we're really built with robustness and long-term durability in mind. And then finally, just some other quick stats. We're looking at about 95% land use. So if you picture all those shelves laid out over a farmer's field, we're seeing about 95% less land use. We stay a lot fresher. We're harvesting and then taking either across the street or into a building right adjacent to the farms. We use no synthetic pesticides. We have great taste year round, so very consistent temperatures all year long. There's no seasonality to a unit in a CEA environment. We really support local economy and improve health and nutrition. So really harvest to plate time is much less, so the nutrient degradation and things like that are much less. So much more nutritious crops coming out of the unit. So the next piece that really allows us to take that original Osiris farm and move it into the Farmplex system is what we call the hub. This is what you can see in the left-hand picture here, the white building at the back. This basically can connect multiple farms. So from a single Osiris farm up to 4 Osiris farms. And it really provides a space so that people can, enter, put on their clothing, go into each of the specific farm units, have a place to package, clean, store, and we really have a lot of different options for configuring the unit. The next slide will go into a little bit more detail of some of those options, but on the right-hand side here, you'll see one customer that actually installed a flip-up door on that unit, and they use it as a storefront. So people will actually come up to the unit, buy the produce directly from their hub unit. And as you can see in the picture on the far right here, they really decorated the entire outside with a mural and make it really more of a community connection point. Perfect. And this is just a standard option for the Osiris Hub. There's a lot of different options in here. I'm just going to go over some of the high-level items. This is what we can typically see in a unit. So you're going to see standard air intakes and exhaust systems, again, all with a filter box and protecting from bugs. There are options as well to add an AC unit to this package as well. We provide stainless steel packing tables. We have a 3-compartment sink and a separate hand washing sink. We've got a hot water heater. We have a regular heater for the room as well. And then basically a variety of storage for utility purposes, hand sanitizers, and PPE. And we really just work with customers in the early stage of the project to map this out, make sure they get everything that they need in there. And it's all really dependent on how you're planning on using the Farmplex and using the space. Yeah, so now onto the main Farmplex. You can see on the left here, we've got a pretty standard configuration. So 4 Osiris farms connected to a single hub unit. Really the goal, as Katie mentioned at the beginning, is really having a turnkey modular solution, but at more of a commercial scale. So really being able to grow a larger amount of produce year round and really focusing on generating revenue within the first 4 months. Really, it's just ideal for people that are looking to take a true all-in-one system for producing kind of commercial level results. The Farmplex in this current configuration, you're going to be producing about 4,000 pounds of lettuce per year and generate employment for 3 people within that unit. Again, 2 of them being farmers, 1 of them being more in a manager and sales role. In general product features, in total, we're looking at about 10,700 planting slots. We have the 1 hub unit for multi-purpose, again, organizing depending on the amount of storage, prep, and sales you want to do inside of the unit. You've got 12 months of growing materials. That includes all of your nutrients, your cleaning supplies, your growing and planting supplies, and your seeds. And then the nice thing about this is you're really centralizing the access to the unit. So you can see on the left side, the single door on the white unit. That'll be the main entry point. So you're really restricting the amount of openings that you have to the outside world. You can go through the single door, less pest entrance possibilities. And then you can also have a single connection point for water and for electricity as well. Again, just making the site prep a little bit simpler and allowing kind of this bigger complex to really reside in its standard 45 by 50 foot space. Slide there. Yeah, and then the last piece here, this is a fairly new release from us. We've also developed, based on feedback from a lot of our customers and things that they value, a food sovereignty option. So in this setup, again, we have 4 of the Osiris units, but in this case, 2 of them are farms. One of them is a dry storage unit, and the final one is a cold storage unit. So the real goal here is to create a central point for storing food you're producing in the first two farms, the leafy greens. The cold or the dry storage gives you some ability to store other food items. And then the final option, the cold storage, has basically half of the unit filled with fridges, the other half filled with freezers, and allows you to store, again, a variety of different other food items. Great if you're doing a CSA box or something like that, where you're combining a bunch of different food products together before shipping them out, or if you want to just have a central pickup location that is secured and still able to handle rough conditions. So both the dry storage and the cold storage, they're designed with our standard Osiris buildings. They're designed to last 30 years and handle all the extreme climates that the Osiris farm is designed to handle. So that's really the main items I wanted to highlight. Again, I think the most important piece, especially shown with this, is the modularity of it. So very much, if you want one farm up to 4 farms, if you want to add in the dry storage or the cold storage, it's really a flexible solution that grows with what your demand is and what your requirements are. So thank you, and I'll hand it over to Brandon.
Thank you, James. So I'll jump into a bit more of an approach of why we sort of came up with this growing solutions. So if we look at the next slide here, the outcome of having this growing solution is being able to grow commercially, having a high quality produce that's available year round. And this growing solutions require very little or no experience in growing or farming. So this will allow you to be able to sell fresh produce locally to your local market. And what we see with a lot of the folks that we work with, there's an opportunity to be start off food boxes, sell to local businesses like restaurants, or even approach local retailers as well. So over the last 10 years, we were sort of able to work with growers, and what we're seeing is that there's a changing definition, or forever changing definition, of what local is. So maybe 5-6 years ago, a lot of consumers were happy with produce that was seasonally available within the province. And I would say over the last 2-3 years, the definition of local is much more focused. You're having produce that's available not only within the province, but within 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers, and sometimes 100 kilometers. So a lot of consumers want more local produce, and they want that available to them year round. So if we go to the next slide here, so as consumer preferences begin to change, a lot of businesses are changing as well. So you have a lot of local restaurants, local retailers that want to procure more local produce year round, and they're willing to pay premium prices for that produce as well. So as we narrow down the focus of what local is, it's continuously being sort of redefined. It's being closer and closer to where consumers are wanting their produce to come from. So with that in consideration, we're seeing a lot more opportunities for our growers to approach their local markets or different folks in their area and distribute their produce. So if we go down to the brand section here, we have a handful of farmers or operations that have created their own brand, and then are selling their produce locally. So if we move on to the next slide here, we'll see quite a few brands that we've launched with our growers. So each one of these brands represents a grocer operation. It can either be 1 farm, 4 farms, 8 farms at one site, but a lot of these brands, their primary focus is distributing their produce to their local market. So these brands are operated by entrepreneurs, farmers that are looking to diversify, commercial businesses, communities, and even nonprofits. So a lot of these sort of organizations and entrepreneurs are creating their brand, and they're able to approach their local market and sell through different channels. So if we scroll down to the next slide here, here are a few locations that our current partners are selling their produce at. So they've created their brand, and they're also distributing their produce at a few of these large retailers as well. So why do our current partners sort of launch these projects with Growcer? Each project has sort of 4 pillars to it. There is this growing solution side of it, then there's the project planning, there's the training and ongoing sort of support. So we really specialize in making sure that the project is carefully planned, and we provide support in all 4 pillars of launching the project. So again, James dived into details on the growing solution itself. Then we do provide tons of support on the project planning, where your produce is distributed. And once your project or your farm is deployed, there's a lot of support on the training and commissioning, so installation portion. And then once you're set up, we do provide ongoing support with where your produce is distributed. If there's any sort of troubleshooting issues, we're here to work with you as well. So if I dive deeper into the actual project planning steps, what we typically tend to focus on this step is really understanding what your local food system looks like, or your local market. We will do a thorough sort of analysis, be a 20-kilometer radius around where are there opportunities for you to distribute your produce year-round. Are there a handful of restaurants? Are there a few retailers? Are there food service operations that would be open to buying your produce? So we'll provide support to really analyze your local market and sort of provide you with all the documents required to sort of having those initial conversations with those buyers. So once we kickstart that planning process, then we'll figure out where are you actually planning to put your farm. Do you have a current site selected? So really figuring out the implementation side of things of where your farm is going. Once we sort of accomplish that with you, we'll support you with the market validation and the packaging side of things. So creating branding and promotional support. So if you approach a retailer, here are a couple of packages that you could approach them with and sort of have those conversations. And then we go on above and beyond to make sure that we're connecting you with the buyers as well. If there's existing partners that we work with, or we could facilitate any conversations, we're there to support you as well. So once that's done, we're able to finalize some projections and give you a good idea of what your operation would look like. So in terms of volume, what are you able to sort of supply your local market with? What are the price points that you're going to get for the food you're growing as well? And with that, we're able to build you a pretty in-depth projections on what your business would look like. So from that step, we have additional support. If you're looking to hire a grower in your area, we could definitely facilitate those conversations as well. And if you're looking for support on developing a business plan and exploring financing options, we could definitely help you there as well. So if we go to the next slide, I just wanted to highlight what we sort of work with you on in the planning steps is to really give you an investment summary or projections on what your operation would look like. Here's just an example from one of our other partners. So their primary distribution or sales channel is through a retailer that they're looking to work with locally. So they have a 4-farm and a hub unit set up. So they're looking to grow as much produce as they can, package and sell to a retailer. The initial investment is around 1.3 million. Their annual revenue is forecast around 450,000. The earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization is around 270,000. So their payback period is around 4.7 years. Again, these numbers will vary based off your location, what type of produce you're looking to grow, things like that. So we'll be able to dive into those numbers specifically for your operation. And just to give you a brief idea on what these variables really depend on, it depends on the hourly wage of your operator, your power rate at your site, what are you growing and what are you selling at. So once we really define that, we'll be able to give you very precise numbers on what your business would make. So if we move on to the next steps in terms of planning, we're really looking at building capacity for your operation. So we have training programs or sessions we call root camp, and this is a great way for you to really understand what hydroponics is all about, and then really sort of spend some time with our team and work in the farm as well and see what the technology is all about. So it's a great way to sort of start looking at the project. You'll get to meet some of our experts on our team in person and learn more about the technology, what's required on site prep, and really look at some of the details around planning your project as well. And we host these root camps once a month, and it's an in-person event in Ottawa. And it's a great way to just kickstart your planning steps for your project. And as we start moving towards more of your planning side, we have a pretty large team that supports you every step of the way. So for example, once we start planning this project, we have farm success managers who are there to support you once your farm deployed. When your farm is being set up, we have engineers that will support with the site preparation. And then we have ongoing support if you need any help on the plant side of things. So there's a pretty large and experienced team to support you with, and they've done quite a few projects, and they're able to leverage their knowledge and their learnings from different projects as well. So once your project's actually set up, your farm is deployed, we do provide in-person commissioning and training as well. So you'll have 2 technicians that arrive at your site, help you set up your farm, and then they'll have some training in your farm. So the training is typically broken down into sort of 3 categories. You have the plant side of things, and then you have the actual farm. So how do you fill up a water tank? How do you turn things on and off? And then you have more of the business side of things. So how do you use the software? How do you track data points in the software as well? So all that training will again be provided in person once your farm is deployed. And the last pillar of our project and offering is the ongoing support and the smart farm technology as well. So we do have a remote app that's mobile. It's also tracking the parameters in the farm. So that software collects what you're growing, allows you to monitor your environments remotely, turn things on and off from your mobile device as well. And we also provide ongoing support from our FAST team, which allows you to benchmark your data, figure out what you're growing. They're able to provide you recommendations. So if you're growing a certain crop, they'll be able to work with you on sort of optimizing your entire operation. Again, our whole solution is based off those 4 pillars. You have the actual growing solution itself, then you have the planning side of things, then you have the training, and then you have the ongoing support. So our team is really here to provide you a holistic approach on launching your farm. So as we move forward, one key thing to highlight here is every food system is different. Your local market's going to be different. So based off the assessments, we may have a 4-farm plus hub, or if you have different retail partners and their volumes are not as high, we'll maybe have to do 2 farms and a hub. So again, a lot of this will be sort of figured out in the planning steps based off of where you're setting up, what sort of retail channels you're looking at, and the price points you're selling at as well. So we'll really work with you on really understanding your volume and your needs of your local market. And I know James dived into some of this as well, and he dived into some of the details around the food sovereignty project, where you have different opportunities for communities and growers that are looking to maybe start a food box to grow in 2 units, and then also have different crop varieties available to distribute throughout the year. Again, we'll be able to really have that conversation with you and really understand what your local market and what your end goals are, and really put together a solution that fits your mandates. And I know we'll be hosting one more event to sort of dive deeper into the numbers and sort of look at those metrics with you. So we're definitely looking forward to that as well.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Brandon. That was a fantastic look at some of the use cases and the ways that the Farmplex is being used and can be used. And I always think it's so neat to look at the different scenarios in which our growers have found distribution channels and sales channels as well. We do work with entrepreneurs, like you said. We work with Indigenous communities, not-for-profits, anyone across the board that's wanting to grow locally in their community and at scale. So we're going to take some time to answer a couple of questions now. So we're going to start with what was put in the Q&A throughout the presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to continue to pop those into the Q&A, and we will do our best to answer them today. And if there's anything else that we need to send along as a resource, we will be sending a follow-up email after today's presentation with both the recording of today's presentation and any follow-up resources that we might want to tack on. So we have our first question is about power supply. So do we have a power supply plan to complement our farms that is off-grid, or at least supplements the grid power supply? So I'm going to toss that one over to James first.
Yeah, awesome. No, great question. Especially with the Farmplex, we have a fairly large power consumption requirement. So kind of part of that initial process is going to be just looking at what capacity is available on site. Especially depending on the location, you know, we have looked at solar options, we've looked at backup generator options. We have a variety of different things, but it really comes down to site-specific requirements. So really, as part of that sales process, going through and like figuring out basically what is available, what we can supply, and then really scaling the project to fit what is available. You know, it may not be feasible to run all 4 units off of a generator, so maybe right sizing to the correct number of units to kind of meet the capacity available. So very site dependent, kind of not a proper answer, but saying that we do have a variety of different options, renewable energy options, and generator options as well.
Yeah, and with that said, I'll just tack on to the end of that. Like, if you have specific questions and want to actually just talk through your own scenario, we're happy to work with you on that. Like, we definitely have some flexible solutions that way. So feel free to reach out with your specific question about your site, and we'll get that answered for you for sure. Question here from Allison: are you willing to travel for root camp seminars? I can answer that one. So for root camp, I would love it. That'd be awesome. We've just been doing them in Ottawa at our Bayview site. So that's where our research and development farm is, because part of root camp is actually spending some time. We like to say getting your hands wet in the farm because there's no dirt. That's our cute little joke. But if potentially actually one of our customers has a farm close to where you are, there's the possibility of us reaching out to them and saying, hey, maybe we can use your farm to run a root camp seminar for another interested party. So Allison, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know where you're coming from, and we can definitely talk through that. We usually need between 5 and 10 participants to make it kind of feasible. So again, let us know where you're at, and we can chat. So the next question here is the app, so I'm guessing that this is the software within the farm, is it Internet of Things compatible? So I'll toss that to James.
Yeah, so just give a quick highlight of what it would look like. Is basically our farming software. You can either access it through a laptop or through your phone or tablet. We have a tablet that comes with every farm, and you can control it from there. But also you can control it from your phone, and it is over the internet. So basically anywhere, anytime. And again, you can also program where you want alarms, warnings, things like that to go to. So again, if you're on vacation and you'd rather have the warning be sent to someone else who's on site, that's always an option. And then we have kind of on the back end a control as well to just be able to get warnings if there is an issue, a recurring challenge like that. And then you can see all of your data. So from the time the farm turns on up until whenever you want to check, you can see what temperature it was, what the light readings were. It really helps with troubleshooting and things like that. So it is a pretty all-encompassing control system, and you are still able to access it from your phone or anywhere.
Great. Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. So just to kind of rephrase that question a little bit for anyone who we use the term Internet of Things, is it smart compatible? Long answer is what James said. Short answer is yes. So we're going to jump down to a couple of questions. We've had a few questions here about financing, and I want to take some time to specifically focus on that. So we'll start with kind of the most broad question that I see here that I don't think we mentioned in the presentation is, after the purchase of either one farm or multiple farms, what are some of the recurring fees? What are some of the other purchases that you may or may not need to make? Brandon, do you mind just elaborating on that?
Great question. So there's few line items based off your operation. So every operation would need growing materials. So you have that. Dependent on how many farms you have, your growing costs will vary. And then you have typically your labor costs. So how many folks are working in your operation and what are their hourly wages? Then you have your packaging costs or no packaging costs. I know some retailers want packaged good, some don't. So that's another line item to consider. And then additional costs that we have are the remote monitoring services. So you have the app itself, and then ongoing support. And based off of your distribution channels, the cost will vary. So if you're looking, you only have one sort of contract and you're not too worried about sort of acquiring different distribution channels, then the charge is very minimal in comparison. So we have those. And then outside of that, there's 2-3 different line items that we toss in there as well. So travel costs, if you want your operator to move the produce and sort of bring it to a local farmer's market once a week. Marketing expenses, if you're looking to create documents to sort of reach out to retailers. And then we typically, what we do to be extra conservative is we also put in sort of reserve for your maintenance. So if you're looking to upgrade your lights 7 years from now, then you have some budget set aside for that. So we typically, in the planning steps, will run through every line item with you and determine what the total ongoing cost of operating your farm is. And again, it'll vary a lot based off of your operation and where you decide to put it.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Brandon. And then I don't think this is specifically asked, but can we get sort of a bit of an idea of what some of the resupply is for the farm? I'll toss that out to anybody who wants to answer that.
Yeah, jump in here. Really, it's mostly focused on consumables. So you're looking at all of your consumable PPE, so hairnets, shoe covers, gloves, things like that. All of your growing materials, so your rock wool, your seeds, nutrients, and then all of your cleaning materials. So all of your Sanitol, usually we put in some extra brushes, buckets, and then the big piece here as well is you have a farm success manager that's going to be working with you fairly regularly. So there is an opportunity as well to talk through if there's anything else that's required. If somehow you've lost one of your scrub brushes or you want a bunch of extra ones or some extra shoe covers because you have a lot more people coming in the machine, we can custom tailor that list a little bit for you and really, refine it so that it is meeting kind of the equipment that you need.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for that, James. A couple more questions about setup costs. So if I'm just seeing this question here, how much would the Farmplex cost? How much would the Farmplex cost, including setup, training, and commissioning? So like all in, are we able to give an idea of what that costs?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So again, a bit of it will vary based off of where you're situated. So there's shipping costs and where you're deciding to put it. So when I share the investment summary with you was around the $1.3 million marker, and that would typically include everything except site preparation. So your site preparation depends on where you're putting it. So the 1.3 includes the shipping, the training, and the 4 farms and a hub unit.
Awesome, great. And then related, where does financing come from? So let's talk a bit about financing a project like this. I know Brandon has worked with so many different financing scenarios across the board with Indigenous communities, entrepreneurs, everybody under the sun. So let's hear a little bit more about those scenarios.
Yeah, no, there's definitely tons of different financing opportunities. There's different partners that we work with. A lot of it will be dependent on your profile. So if you are an existing entrepreneur, we can match you with one of our partners who could finance the project. If you are Indigenous community, there's different folks that we could pair you up with. So it depends ultimately on your profile as well as your business goals. So if you're an existing business owner and you're looking to grow your existing operation, there's a different partner that will be able to match you with. And again, if you're able to narrow down to a business plan and you have an idea and we're working together, we'll be able to definitely match you with the right person to finance your project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see some of that on in my work as well, that we have a plethora of folks coming through the door wanting to look at financing options, and we're happy to help. We're happy to walk alongside you through that process as well. So 2 questions here that are interrelated, but Claire has a question. Did I hear correctly? The farm is not a shipping container, but the structure is comprised of structurally insulated panels. That is correct. I'll let James elaborate a little bit more on that, and then maybe also speak to another question we have here. But what's our capacity to produce these units per year? Getting them out the door, getting them to customers.
Awesome. Yeah, so 100% correct. We basically are using SIP panels instead of shipping containers. A couple of key benefits for that. First off, our units are 2 feet wider. So we basically maximize a standard truckload. And you'll really, if you're ever in one of our farms, you'll really get to experience the amount of space there is to actually work inside of it versus a shipping container that's much tighter. So we're really purpose building the building for the application that we're doing. And the next piece is building permits. So no, like building inspectors, they don't like thing they like the least is a shipping container. So, you know, it lets us get through the building permitting process much easier. It's also, we have full control over the system, so we're not relying on used shipping containers. There's less rusting, there's less potential damage to the outside of the shell. It is truly a purpose-built building for this specific application. And then from a production standpoint, we're currently producing 1 unit a week. We have the capacity to go up to as far as 3 a week. It really depends on, you know, timing for things and letting us know to make sure that we are able to kind of ramp our production up. But we really are not restricted by capacity right now. So always happy to chat if there's a growing need for more buildings.
Great. Yeah, I think that answers that question. So now some more power requirement questions. So what's the power requirement for a Farmplex? Plus any auxiliary in the hub unit, so like fridges, coolers, etc.
Yeah, so in terms of power, there were a couple questions on that. So the standard Osiris unit is about 80,000 kilowatt hours per year. It feels like a big number. That's really tied to the lights, the HVAC system. And it really is the reason why specific crops are grown in the unit. So we need to make sure that the unit has a positive return on investment, even with that high power consumption. So if you're looking at a full Farmplex, you're looking at basically 4 times that, and then around 20,000 kilowatt hours per year for the fridges. Again, if you're running a couple fridges, shop vacs, things like that in the unit. So you're about 350,000 kilowatt hours per year. So it is, vertical farming in general is a fairly power intensive process, but ultimately that's why we select very specific crops to grow in the machines to ensure that the value of those crops can outweigh the cost associated with growing them.
Great. Thanks for that, James. So I'm just filtering through the last couple of questions here. I want to make sure that we have time to answer them and also to just do a couple of reminders and last minute things at the end of our hour here. I believe I saw $450,000 in annual revenue for the 4-unit system, so the Farmplex. What average price per unit of produce was assumed in that calculation? I'm going to send that one to Brandon.
Yeah, that's a great question. So their model was quite unique, and they were looking to service a retailer, and they were growing a mixture of, I think, herbs and living lettuce. I think their price points were around $2 to $2.50. And that calculation also included a loss factor of around 10% as a learning curve for their operation as well.
Awesome. Another one for Brandon here. Have you put in place any outside sales or affiliate programs for international markets? Let's talk international markets.
Great question. We're currently working on that, so you should definitely reach out to us and connect with us. We're in the early stages of putting one together, so it'd be great to connect with you.
Yeah, and anyone who has any questions or wants to reach out to us directly, feel free to email us at info@thegrowcer.ca. .ca is important. We are in Canada. You can also feel free to, if you want to chat with someone about a project specifically. I know that Brandon is happy to chat, so Brandon@thegrowcer.ca. You can also reach out to him directly. Happy to chat over a project plan there. Let me see. Oh, a good one here. Are there permits necessary to set up a unit? Can it be set up in a city, so in an urban area?
100%. So yeah, building permit is usually the standard requirement, especially if you're in a city. You know, every city is different, but we basically ensure that we have all the stamp drawings, all the information needed, and then part of that kind of onboarding support is just helping provide all the information and communicate with, you know, city officials to be able to get the system placed within a city. And again, we always strongly encourage starting that process, you know, early on. So you'll the first couple of people you'll meet once you're onboarded, you know, they're going to help you with that process and walk you through kind of what's needed.
Yeah, for sure. And again, to that point, when you're going through and going through all the planning stages of your project, we're there to support you. We have a whole team here. We're not just sales and product. We have whole support teams that are there to walk you through every step of the way through your first harvest. And we really are honored to be able to do this work. We really love what we do. So if you have any other questions, feel free to submit any last ones here in the Q&A. I'm going to go over a couple of just housekeeping items before we hit the end here, just in case anybody has to go. Like I said, we will be sending out a follow-up email with a recording of today's session, as well as some follow-up resources if you want to get started. I think it'd be great. We'll send along the everything guide. It is just a really straightforward look at a few basic numbers, and we'll also send forward we have a Farmplex one-pager with some basic information about the Farmplex as well. And then I also just want to plug Root Camp here. If you want to come and hang out with us and be a part of Root Camp, we are actually running one on October 30th and 31st of this month in Ottawa. So you can head to our website, thegrowcer.ca/rootcamp, ROOT camp, and check out the programming that we have there. And to sign up, you can pay online. And we'd love to see you there. And then the other thing I just want to say is that we have another webinar happening on October 18th. So exactly 2 weeks from now at the exact same time at 3 p.m., we're going to be running a webinar/workshop where we dive right into the finances, the financial feasibility of scaling projects with Growcer. So starting from one farm to a Farmplex, including a hub, we're going to be talking about how that is one of the most financially viable ways of producing produce at scale at the moment. So we're going to be diving right into that. If you have financial questions, we'll be there to answer them on that day. So in your follow-up email, you'll be getting a link where you can sign up for that and let us know that you're going to be attending, and also submit your questions ahead of time. We'd love to hear what those are, and then we can be as prepared as possible to get you your questions answered. I see one last question in here, so we'll answer that, and then we'll let everyone go for the day. So is the cost of support included in the unit sales costs? That's a great question.
Yeah, so in the price mentioned in the investment summary during the slide, the 1.3 million, you do have your training, you have your ongoing support included for the first year as well.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. So again, thank you all for joining us today. I think this has been a great look at the Farmplex. Thank you, Brandon and James, for being our resident experts here. And again, feel free to reach out, growcer.ca/contact. We're always here to answer your questions, and we hope to see you on the next webinar in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.